Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita is titled as Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana means meditation. Yoga, everyone seems to be knowing what it is. So ironically, these two words you can find even in English dictionary. Dhyanam, meditation. Yoga, understood as a mere physical practice. So the cross-section of humanity understands yoga and meditation as therapies for agitated mind, which is not true. It's very difficult to convince a person who is sold on it otherwise. Yoga and meditation are offered as balms to soothe a disturbed mind. There is no therapy for the disturbed mind except locating the source of disturbance. What disturbs your mind may not disturb my mind, but both are asked to meditate. How does it work? What disturbs my mind may not disturb your mind. Both are given the same yoga postures. What is missing is the knowledge of how to deal with your own mind, to take it through the path of yoga and bring your mind to a point of meditativeness. This is the challenge. So the 6th chapter is Dhyana Yoga, yoga of meditation. As far as you and I are concerned, read it as yoga of meditativeness. I'm not changing the copyrights of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna will be terribly annoyed. But as far as you and I are concerned, we should not be excited about this word meditation. The question is, meditation is one step or the final practice leading you to self-realization. There is no doubt about it. Without going through the gateway of meditation, self-realization is not possible. This is true. But the question is, are you ready for the gateway? Have you arrived at the doors of meditation? So what is that we are going to learn in this chapter, Dhyana Yoga? The difference between two words, meditation and meditativeness. So what happens is, when you practice or when you sit in the seat of meditation, you become aware that your mind is not with you. The two powerful legs that your mind has are desires and attachment. As long as you keep feeding these two legs, you means any one of us, including me, as long as I keep feeding these two legs of my mind, desires and attachment, it will be running faster than Usain Bolt. 9 seconds for 100 meters. For the mind, it doesn't need even a nanosecond. Hyderabad, instantly it is gone. The fastest flight will take 20 hours. Mind is instantly gone. So what we need to understand in and through this voluminous chapter containing 47 verses, outstanding presentation on how to bring your mind to that final practice, to that state of meditation, and what is the sadhana to be done. Continuing from the previous chapter. Previous chapter was yogi, sannyasi, jnani. He continues from there. Before we get into the verses, what is the essence of this chapter? I'll give you the essence of this chapter. So the essence of the chapter sets the broad spectrum within which the 47 verses are given out. It's like banks of a river. How much ever water flows, it should flow within the banks of the river, then it is safe. But if the water flows outside the banks of the river, it is called as flood. It is no more a river. So in any study, we have to set the focus. So what is the focus in this chapter? The focus in this chapter is to differentiate between meditativeness and meditation. What sadhana or spiritual practice one has to engage to cleanse the mind, to clean our mind. The definition of meditation is, meditation means the art of maintaining your mind in focus upon a single thought to the exclusion of all thought under the supervision of your intellect. This is called meditation. Remember this, closing your eyes and chanting something is not meditation. It is prayer, whatever name you want to give it. That's not wrong. Before the class, we play the music. So you're closing your eyes and trying to be attentive to absorb that bhavana, that feeling, that devotion. That is not meditation. All these are engaging your mind and intellect. Meditation means disengaging. Just the opposite. How to work, how to work out, how to exercise can be taught. How to relax, can you teach? Is there any psychiatrist, psychologist, a philosopher, a swami, a saint who can teach how to relax? How means process. Relaxation is a state, not a process. How to work can be taught. How to work out, do exercise can be taught. How to talk can be taught. How to keep silence, how can you teach? I'm going to teach you how to be silent. First, what you have to do is, the moment I start speaking, I have flouted the principle of silence. You understand? Any amount of teaching about silence is breaking the very purpose of the discussion. You're producing sound. Sense or nonsense, how to talk can be taught. Articulate every word, it can be taught. But how to keep silence is not engaging process, it is disengaging. Same way, the first difference we learn between meditation and anything else you can learn is, anything you learn in life is engaging yourself. How to paint, how to read a book, how to learn music, how to play an instrument, how to work on Zoom. These are all engaging exercises. Meditation is a state where your mind is disengaged of all thoughts, all worldly thoughts. That's the definition. Meditation is the art of maintaining your focus, your mind in focus upon a single thought. The single thought cannot be any single thought. An alcoholic's mind is constantly thinking of alcohol. Boy and girl court each other for years together, they get married. And as soon as they are married, the fellow within a day has to take a flight and fly abroad for work within a day. So all through his flight, he is only thinking of his wife. I got married yesterday. Immediately I have to leave. I have to leave. I have to leave. I don't know when I'll get my leave. So in the flight, he is thinking of his partner. At work, he is thinking of his partner. And his partner at home is constantly thinking of him. So mind is single-pointedly held on the other. A chain smoker's mind is single-pointedly held on the cigarette. A child's mind is single-pointedly held on toys. You can't call these meditation, because that's the definition. Meditation is the art of maintaining your mind and focus upon a single thought to the exclusion of all thoughts under the supervision of your intellect. When your intellect decides, this is what I want to think for the next 1 hour, are you able to hold on the thought? So single thought to the exclusion of all mundane worldly thoughts, then such a person is meditating. So you can't overnight abandon all thoughts and arrive at the state. That's not possible. People believe, once I retire, after that, my mind will not go to things. Only after you retire, it will go more, because you have nothing else to do. As long as you are working, someone else decides where your mind should be, and you have exchanged it for a price, $5,000, $10,000, $40,000, depending on your work. So your boss decides where your mind should be. But when you are not working, you have to decide where to put your mind. You have never trained yourself. I have never trained myself where to put the mind. So it goes all over. So meditation means the art of maintaining your mind upon single-pointed focus to the exclusion of all thoughts under the supervision of intellect. So meditation, the very definition is talking about a meditative mind, which means a mind that is free of worldly thoughts and an intellect that is super stable. Single thought. Except the thought of self, except the thought of God, there is no thought that enters your mind. That is a person who is ready for meditation. Now in every one of us, except the thought of self, every other thought is there. So we have to go through the process of converging the mind. So there are two ways in which human mind can function. One is called as a diverging mind. The other is called as converging mind. Two types of mind. Diverging mind means it is increasing, it is flowing. So diverging mind is constantly flowing with thoughts and desires, innumerable thoughts, innumerable desires. It is like perennial flow of water in Niagara Falls or in Ganges. Drop after drop. But when you look at Niagara Falls from the boat, you won't say water drops. You say it is one of the biggest falls in the world. It's a miracle. But what is happening there? Drop by drop, water is falling, that's all. Just water drops, that's all. Millions and millions, billions and billions of water droplets continuously falling together. It gives a sensation of a static picture. The whole thing is moving, but it gives the static picture. You look at the falls, you look elsewhere, and then come back, it is the same. Not realizing, no 2 seconds, you see the same water. You understand? That is why in the scriptures they say, you can't bathe in the same river twice. Think about it. They say, you can't bathe in the same river twice. Many people say, I have bathed in Ganges 15 times. Every year I go to India, I go to Ganges and take a holy dip. You can't bathe in the same shower in your own house more than once, because that water droplet that hits your head is gone. Next time when you shower, when you say, I showered in the same water second time, it's not the same water, it's run. You can't bathe in the same river twice. You can't see the same waterfall second time. It's your memory. Every water droplet is passing. This is what is happening in the mind. Innumerable thoughts are passing the mind. Innumerable desires are entertained in the mind. So the mind is flowing incessantly. perennially, most constantly with thoughts. And these thoughts that are indiscriminate produce desires. Desires are nothing but constant flow of thoughts from your mind to the world. How do you gather desires? Desires means flow of thoughts from your mind towards the world. One or two thoughts don't produce desires. Innumerable thoughts going towards a particular object or person in the world produces desires. One or two thoughts cannot produce desires. Innumerable thoughts, just as one or two drops of water cannot produce a river. Innumerable drops of water continuously, day and night, throughout the year, flowing in one direction creates a groove called a river. So the first thing to know is, in every one of us, we have left our mind to constantly flow towards the world with thoughts. And these thoughts flowing towards the world are producing desires. So we are in the process of engaging the mind with thoughts to generate desires, to acquire desires. We need to know that. One more desire is, I want to learn meditation. That's all. I want to learn meditation. I have learned hot meditation. I want to learn cold meditation. I have learned American meditation. I want to learn Zen Buddhistic meditation. Another thought, another desire. Just another fancy, that's all. Because 3 meals are assured. We can do all that. But a person who has to work for the next meal has no time to bother about meditation or anything. Depression, nothing. Because unless he works, he can't get next meal. Where's the time to be depressed? Where's the time to think of meditation? Both extremes are not there. So incessant flow of thoughts creating desires is called as a diverging mind. Converging mind is the opposite, where thoughts and desires are lesser, fewer. So a mind that is less with thoughts and desires, a converging mind is fit for meditation, not a diverging mind. Diverging mind can't even concentrate. If your mind is diverging into work, it is going into grandkids or children. It is going to the work that you have to do the next day. It has gone into the past, what you did throughout the day. It is thinking about the dinner that you have to provide children after the class. Diverging mind. It's not available in the class. Converging mind means shelving all these thoughts and focusing on the class. 1 hour we can't do. Lifetime, how can we do that? Yet, it is within human capability to achieve it. That's the 6th chapter. He is going to tell us how to get there. So what is the problem with diverging mind? A diverging mind is extroverted. It is world bound. It is mundane. This is the problem. A diverging mind is extrovert. You don't wake up and start thinking about the world. Your thoughts pressurize you to wake up. This is the reality. Please think about it. This is what is happening to all of us. We believe, I woke up, I had coffee, and after that I started thinking about work. No. Your thoughts that are intensely pressurizing you is appearing in the dream. It deprives your sleep. Your thoughts that are waiting to hold your attention or waking you up in the morning. So what happens to this incessant flow of thoughts is, it makes you extrovert. Extrovert means your attention is outside upon the world. It is not inside upon your being. You're not thinking about your personality. You're not thinking about life. You're only thinking about what to do in the world. They are mundane because they are dealing with acquisition and indulgence. Extroverted mind plays with these two intentions: acquisition, indulgence. So these are checkpoints. Just as you go for your blood works, you give a sample. From 1 drop of blood, the fellow decides what is happening in your body. Same way, these are testing parameters to know where you are. I should be testing myself where I am. Then think about sadhana. Then think about spiritual practice. Without reference to that, we are talking about detachment. We are talking about renunciation. We're talking about realization. You're not even bought a ticket. You're thinking about reaching the destination. So the second is extroverted mind is world-bound and it is mundane because of innumerable thoughts. Because of extroverted mind with innumerable thoughts, when you launch into an action, the mind keeps rambling. Third parameter to know where you are, how near you are to meditation, how far you are away from meditativeness. Third parameter. How will you know? If you close your eyes and then chant for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, any mind may cooperate. You may think you are a Mirabai or a Buddha, Shankaracharya, but how would you know? The third parameter is the nature of an extroverted mind is it keeps rambling. Astira, Chanchala, two types of rambling, two types of movements. Unsteady and restless. Restless means it keeps moving from one place to the other. Restlessness. Unsteady means if you give it a point of focus, it slips from there and comes back. Suppose you didn't have a class 7:30 to 8:30, nothing to do. The mind floods you with options. Should I watch a movie? Should I read a newspaper? Should I listen to a song? Should I call my friend? Should I see what is happening in US elections? That is why we didn't have class yesterday. Ladies were praying. Some people sent a message. Now I have to pray for my husband's welfare, Karwa Chauth, whatever that is. My Hindi is not good. Pardon me if I am wrong. And what are the husbands doing? Some of them are hoping that Biden will win. Some of them are hoping that Trump will win. So ladies are preoccupied in doing certain things. Men are preoccupied in doing certain things. So unsteady and restless means if you give it a point of focus, it fails to stay there. This is one type of disturbance. The other type of disturbance is when there is no point of focus at all, the mind keeps rambling, freely moving. So from that state of violent moving from place to place, you need to give mind a focus to stay, to come back. The moment you give a focus doesn't mean the mind will be stuck with it. If you give a point of focus, your mind would still slip. If you have been building the alertness of intellect, your intellect will pick up saying, I slipped. Now, why am I looking at my phone? Why am I looking outside the window? Why am I thinking of work? Your intellect is aware that your mind is slipping into a thought that is irrelevant to the class. You understand? The whole thing is happening internally. That which is slipping is inside you. That which is aware of the slip is inside you. That which has to bring you back to the point of focus is inside you. The whole thing is internal. Without knowing all this, just closing the eyes and chanting something doesn't get us anywhere. So two types of movements are astira and chanchala, restless and unsteady. One has to know whether I am in that position where mind is crazy moving from place to place, or do I have a focus? Do I have a fixation in life? You can play a sport, you can engage in music, you can do all sorts of things, but what is your focus in life? Everyone has to be very clear. Having come to Canada to study and help people study Vedanta, it's not that 24 hours I have to speak only Vedanta, Vedanta, Vedanta. Suppose, Agam, you see me watching a movie. Sir, you have no business to watch movies. You should be teaching Vedanta. Next day you see me in a, what is it? Ice ring. watching. Definitely you won't see me there. I'm not that crazy. So you see me in an ice ring or a boxing ring watching a match. You ask, why are you here? What is wrong in engaging in these actions? There is nothing wrong in engaging in these actions as long as your intellect is aware of its focus. The problem is when you miss your focus and engage into these actions, you have slipped. You lost your focus. So what is aware of the focus? If your intellect has fixed a point of focus, it would be alert enough to find out the deviation. This is my focus. Why am I deviating? Yato yato nischarati manaschanchalam astiram tatastato niyam yaitat atmanyeva. It's going to tell us in the 6th chapter. Yato yato nischarati manaschanchalam astiram. Whenever your mind yields to chanchala astira, tatastato niyam yaitat atmanyeva. Then again and again keep bringing your mind back to Atman, to self-inquiry, to your focus. This is how you do sadhana. But you can't do it internally straight away. First is to have a focus. What is the focus? I need some knowledge. First, I need to know minimum knowledge. 3 verses of Bhagavad Gita, immediately we are talking about self-realization. It doesn't work like that. Minimum knowledge is required. So, rambling, unsteady and restless. The 4th characteristic aspect of a mind, incessant and diverging mind, is it is attached and entangled. All of us are attached, all of us are entangled. When it comes to relationships, the mind is attached and terribly entangled. We are not objective in relationships, completely entangled. It could be your partner, it could be your sibling, it could be your child, it could be your son or daughter, parents. They all sit in your mind. The mental space we have given objects and beings of the world is called as attachment. Mental space. The problem is we are not able to throw these thoughts, these people outside our mind. We are not able to get rid of the thought in the mind. Something someone did 20 years back is sitting in your mind. That person could be dead and gone. 20 years back it happened, 10 years back that fellow died, but you still remember it. So the 4th aspect is a mind that is infested with attachment and entangled emotionally becomes preoccupied. It is called as samsara. Samsara means terrestrial entanglement. It's entangled terrestrially. How can that person meditate? Slightest of problem in the family, something or other will not be right. If brother is good, sister won't be well. If sister is good, business will be declining. If business is good, traffic would be bad. If traffic is okay, weather is not good. Something or other in the world keeps bothering the mind. How are we going to release the mind from these botherations and plunge it in meditation, thought of God? Impossible. Impossible to plunge it. So the 4th aspect is attachment. That is why you take a coconut to a temple. It symbolizes being free from attachment. A coconut has a smooth exterior outside. So smooth. That's your body. And you open the coconut, it's all full of fibers and coils. They're all interlocked. So these interlocked fibers and coils represent the attachment and desires in the mind. And if you carefully remove them, they're all interlocked, intertwined. And then the whole thing separates like a lotus. And you see the hard shell. You need a hammer to break it. You have to bang it against a stone. You have to pitch it on hard surface to break. You can't break it with your hand. Not possible. Hard shell. This hard shell is your causal body. The exterior that is smooth is your gross body. The interior, which is coils, which is intertwined with those fibers, is your subtle body, mind and intellect. The hard shell is your causal body. If you break that hard shell, what you see is that white coconut inside. This white coconut represents the self, represents the pure being in you. So you open the coconut and just leave a small tuft and take it to a temple. The priest removes the tuft. And when the priest removes the tuft, you see the three eyes. Which means you get rid of all the fibers of thoughts and desires pertaining to the world, then seek a master with spiritual desires alone. I want to evolve. I want to realize the self. I want to engage karma, bhakti, and jnana. I want to meditate and realize. With these residual desires, you go to a spiritual master. The master cleans that last bit of tuft. That is why a Brahmin sports a tuft. It's not a part of costume. What he is telling the society is, I am free from worldly thoughts and desires. It's a statement to say, I am free from worldly thoughts and desires. Don't call me for a movie. Don't ask me, do you know what's happening in US elections? I'm not bothered about all this. You may be bothered, it's your life. You can live your life, but that's not my thoughts. I have freed myself of worldly preoccupations, and I am focusing on getting rid of those last few thoughts, last few desires. That is why a person wears a tuft. And then you go to the Guru shaves the tuft, which symbolizes realization. You don't get realization by shaving your hair. The whole thing is just a ritual. So desires and emotionally entangled. Number 5, a mind that is diverging is pressurized by innumerable desires, sensual desires. Sensual desires in the sense, objects for enjoyment. They are driven by pleasure. So 5 senses, 5 shoppers constantly shopping for objects from the world. When you are tired seeing with your eyes, your ears take over. When you are tired hearing, tongue takes over. When you are fed up eating, each and every sense organ is waiting for their turn, constantly preoccupied with the world with these 5 senses, acquiring objects for pleasure. Such a person is thinking of what to get next. He is not thinking of how to quit what I have and evolve. That's not what he's thinking. It's the opposite direction. So insatiable senses force a person to engage in sensual pursuit. Such a person's mind is disturbed because he is constantly seeking pleasure. And anything that he gets is not enough. He wants more. So the first spiritual practice Krishna is going to tell us in the 2nd chapter is govern your senses. Extreme is denying and suppressing your senses. The other extreme is indulging in the senses. Middle path is participate, enjoy, but don't indulge and lose control. Never lose control over your senses. That is a spiritual person. So mastery over senses is required to calm the mind. All problems in life is because of addiction to senses. Today, 60 to 80% of problems in life is because of addiction to senses. Food relates to appetite and hunger. Today, food is an industry. You don't decide what to eat. Industry is deciding. So you can't get rid of the industry by holding a flag. That's not necessary. But you shift the focus from mind to the intellect. Let the industry thrive outside. But that should not decide what you should eat, what you should drink. Your intellect decides. This is self-control. All 5 senses have been converted into an industry. Think about it. Seeing is an industry. Hearing is an industry. All 5 senses are industries. So you can't wait till it is regulated outside. You can regulate it inside with your intellect. That is self-control. And because of these 5 problems, we are facing constant lifestyle diseases, lifestyle challenges. Everyone is a victim. What is the lifestyle challenge? Lifestyle means the way in which you live life. What is wrong with the way in which you live life? Mind is controlling the intellect. Intellect is not controlling the mind. Lifestyle disease means a disease that happens due to your lifestyle. Instead of your intellect governing your mind is controlling the intellect and dictating. So the first step is to reverse this. That is yoga. Yoga means returning to yourself, returning to your being, derived from Sanskrit root yuj. Yuj means to join, to unite. The same word in English is religion. Religare means to join, to unite, to get back. Bhoga means indulging in the world. Yoga means your journey within, to find yourself. So yoga is different from yogasana. Even in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which is considered as the textbook for yogasana, yoga is defined as Chitta Vritti Nirodha. First chapter. People believe it's talking about yogasana, bending your body. Yoga, first chapter, in the preamble of the book, Patanjali declares, yoga means Chitta Vritti Nirodha, means Chitta means thought or mind. Vritti means modification. Nirodha means governing, controlling. So Chitta Vritti Nirodha means governing the modifications of your mind. How does the mind modify? Innumerable desires. Desires cause anger, jealousy, greed, hatred, negative emotions. So the first is to be aware this is what the mind is doing and to govern the mind. Such a person can say, I am doing yoga. Not a person who merely does physical yoga. Yoga, yogasana, meditation, meditativeness. Learn the difference between these two phrases. Forget what others think. You don't have to go and convince anyone. Yoga is different, yogasana is different. They are not opposed. There's a connection. But yogasana is not yoga. By doing yogasana, you can't claim spirituality. And you may be a spiritual person, may not be doing yogasana also. That's also possible. It's not compulsory. The second difference is the difference between a meditative mind and the practice of meditation. Meditation is very easy to teach. Meditativeness, entire life of a guru, one disciple, if he is able to bring to the point of meditativeness, it's a super success. So yoga means shifting your focus. How do you do this yoga? There are fourfold yogas. Yoga means your journey within. The first part is called as Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga means the path of force or compulsion. Now, why do you have to force anything? Hatha Yoga is applicable to your physical body. What has to be forced is your physical body. Your physical body does certain things without force. What are the things it does without force? Lazing and sleeping. Just to laze, being a couch potato. You don't need any force. You don't need any tuitions or motivation. Second is to eat, to indulge, sleep, procreate. You don't need any motivation to procreate. It's an automatic urge. So the natural appetites of the physical body, which comes from this tamoguna, tamas, is lazing, sleeping, eating, procreating. Even a tree does this. Trees will be sleeping now, next 5 months. There are certain reptiles that go into hibernation in cold winter. They've gone into sleep. We are sleeping for 6 to 8 hours. They are sleeping for 7 months. That's the difference. You don't need any training for this. They come from your tamoguna. So to get out of tamas, you have to force your system. And how do you force your system? Asana, pranayama, yama, niyama, pratyahara. 5 practices. This is Hatha Yoga. Asana means physical postures, twisting and turning your body, going through difficult techniques to learn these asanas. So asana means various postures. Pranayama means regulating your breath. Prana means breath. Yama means regulation. Pranayama means regulating your breath. Now, why do you need to regulate? Because none of us breathe properly. More excited and impulsive a person is, less effective the person's breathing is. That's why they have problems. An emotionally excited person has problems because they don't allow enough time to breathe. It's like continuously running. When a person is continuously running, the breathing you find it's like a dog. So when you are continuously running with your mind, you can't breathe properly. So pranayama means understanding how to breathe, how to help your system oxygenate. That's all. We don't see oxygen as food. You may have the best of food and drink, but if you don't have that whiff of oxygen, instantly you perish. So oxygen is a food in the sense of intake. So how to take in oxygen is a science. How to oxygenate your system is a science. That's all pranayama is. So if you know pranayama, various techniques, you will know to employ and engage oxygen in different ways in your body. So it can be free from aches and pains. You won't be short of breath. You may not have certain congestions and all that. But that doesn't mean you will be spiritual. Asana and pranayama will not make you spiritual if you stop there. Asana and pranayama will make your body the best possible weapon to use in life. Weapon or instrument, depending on how you use it. So if you want to be a sports person, you can be a very successful sports person. If you want to be a vocal artist with asana and pranayama, without any aches and pains, you can sing for hours together. Our Guru, 94, he still sits and lectures for 1.5 hours every day. How is that he is able to do? Other times he is sitting and writing books. How is he able to do? Because of physical discipline. That's all. Asana and pranayama help you. Then yama and niyama. You may do asana and pranayama, but let loose in terms of indulging in life. Yama and niyama means certain restraints and conduct in life. Restraint. I won't eat a certain types of food. You choose that. No one else decides for you. I will not consume foods that are stimulating for the senses. This is a yogi's resolve. That is why in our culture, they said after a particular age, stop eating certain food. Because unnecessarily they are teasing your sensual appetite. The body is not conducive. 55-year-old man, 52-year-old wife. The body is not conducive for certain transactions. Naturally, there is a depletion. Now, are you going to pump more of senses into your body or understand the process and get out of it intelligently? 75 people are still looking for life mates after having 2-3 already. Why? Because we have not understood the natural progress of life. So in our culture, early if a person loses partner, they didn't talk about marry or don't marry. They said if you want to stay single, these are the foods that you should not eat. Because these foods will go and trigger your senses. They won't change the mind. They will trigger the senses. Whatever sensual desires you have, it will be flaring up. By not eating these foods, you won't become spiritual. But by eating these foods, you are triggering your senses. You are inviting your senses. You are sharpening your senses for urges. So this is yama and niyama. Certain things I'll do, certain things I will not do. Come what may, I'll get up early at 4:30. I will do that. What I will not do, come what may, I will not drink. I will not eat meat. I won't stay up late in the night. Not in a rigid way. understanding how these practices will help you evolve. But by merely doing these, you cannot evolve. So Hatha Yoga alone will not make you a spiritual person. Asana, pranayama, yama, niyama. The fifth is called as pratyahara. Pratyahara means withdrawal, because of which there is vitality. Pratyahara means governing your senses. So if you do these 5, you gain immense vitality in your body, immense strength. Your pranas are intact. And in the scriptures, they say there is a tejas in the person. Tejas doesn't mean cosmetic look. There is no spiritual cosmetic surgery. You can look smart, dashing, handsome, very beautiful. That's not tejas. Tejas means a glow, a radiance in the person's face. There is no aura behind. If you just put a focus light, you will get that aura. You don't need to do any Hatha Yoga for that. So the way you take care of your physical body with Hatha Yoga, it radiates with that light. This is vitality. The second is called as Karma Yoga. What are you doing with such a body? You can live a life that is propelled with selfishness. With such a body, which is so vital, you can all the time think about what can I get for myself? Or you can think about what I can do for the society. How I can use my company, this situation, to get maximum for myself. This could be the motive. Or the motive could be, in this situation, what is that I can do? So Karma Yoga means switching the purpose or attitude in your action. That's all. You're not changing the action. Don't think Karma Yoga means changing your action. Karma Yoga doesn't mean resigning your job and joining an NGO. That's also a job. Karma Yoga is not switching your action. Karma Yoga is not switching your place from business to an ashram. Karma Yoga is switching your attitude, by which wherever you are, that place becomes a temple. That place becomes your karma bhumi. How do you switch from selfish survival motive to a higher ideal, to what you can deliver, to a goal? So 3 types of actions we can do: selfish action, unselfish action, and the third is called as selfless, which is a state. Nishkama karma, it is called. Nishkama karma means no selfish desire, no unselfish desire. No desire prompting action. Your goal, your resolve, your evolution, the call to higher is making you perform that action. This is by far we can get to selflessness. So through Hatha Yoga, you gain vitality for the body and pranas. Through Karma Yoga, you offload the bulk of desires. That is the effect. That's the benefit. Because you're working for a goal, you're not feeding your mind and desires. So you get rid of desires. The third, engaging your mind, you do Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means the path of devotion. When it comes to mind, again, there are 3 possibilities. A callous person who doesn't connect emotionally at all. Callousness means no emotions. Or the person is concerned about I, me, mine. I and mine. Callousness means can't feel for others. Whatever happens to others, emotionally you're not bothered. In all of us, there is a lot of callousness. Mercilessly we chop animals and eat. This is callousness. You don't have to stop that. But this is what is making you do that. No identification with the life force there. We so much identify with the tongue and taste, we are ready to chop it. Callousness. Or we identify with I and mine. I, mine, my son, my daughter, my child, my dog, my home, my carpet, my car. Anything that falls into the fence of mine, we can identify. Others we can't feel. That's the first verse of Gita. Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurva Sanjaya. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveda Yutsava. Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurva Sanjaya. What are my sons and sons of Pandus doing? He can't even identify with his own brother's son, and he calls himself a king of the kingdom. That's the first verse of Gita. So callousness or self-centered identification, attachment. The second is identifying with an enlarged circle. The moment you pitch a higher goal, your circle of identification expands. You no longer identify with your personal areas. Your identification expands. You start feeling for others. You start feeling for other beings. You start feeling even for a plant. To bring down a tree, you think a million times. The other is just to chop it because it doesn't look good. That's also a living being. The tree is also a living being. It doesn't have a name. It has an organic name. It has a botanical name, but it doesn't have a name saying Kishore, Reshma, Selini. It doesn't have an individual name. That doesn't mean it doesn't have any life. That is why bringing down a tree is not such an easy task traditionally. In the academy, I remember, no tree or no plant can be taken out just like that. There was a huge tree which was struck in monsoon, and it was falling over another building. I remember I was a student that time, we spent so much money bringing JCBs and trucks, taking out their branches, and just the body of the tree, we lifted it and replanted it elsewhere. Provided all the soil and nutrition to give your best shot, because the tree would fall on the building. Even where there is an injury to the structure, there's so much attention because of regard to life. If you chop your hand, it doesn't grow, but if you chop a branch, it grows. So chop and replant it elsewhere. Identification. In spite of all that, the tree may die, but you have done your best to save it. No patient, no doctor can save life. He can only postpone death. If you don't die today, you'll die after a few months. That's all. Only Vedanta can make you immortal. Doctors cannot die. Doctors themselves are going to die someday. Every one of us, including the speaker, is going to die. So Bhakti Yoga means enlarging the circle of identification, due to which you feel one with them. You respect and feel for that life principle in others. This is called devotion. Devotion is not your emotional attachment to a deity, to a god or goddess. Devotion is seeing that God principle in everything, every being. That is devotion. What does it do? Devotion promotes gratitude and reduction of ego. You become more grateful in life. You don't become a beggar asking for more. That's not devotion. Gratitude and reduction of ego. Ego means sense of self-importance. That becomes low because you see and you identify with everyone. Ego reduces. So Bhakti Yoga enhances the quality of desire. Karma Yoga reduces the bulk or quantity of desires. Hatha Yoga promotes vitality of pranas and body. Bhakti Yoga reduces the quality, enhances the quality of emotions, desires. The fourth is Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, inquiry, relating to the intellect. When the intellect is asleep, we follow herd instinct. We do what others do. When the intellect is not asleep, but only intelligence is functioning, you make a living. If you are low in intelligence, you make a living as a labor. If you are mediocre in intelligence, you make a living as a manager. If you are very good in intelligence, you become an entrepreneur, but all are earning a living. Whether you go in a public transport or you go in your Toyota car or you drive a Tesla car, that's the only difference. But all are earning a living. When no intelligence is functioning at all, intellect is asleep, you follow what others do. Herd instinct, mechanical living. That is why after 40, 50, life seems to be stuck with a void. midlife crisis, because till 40 we did what others did. Suddenly you realize, what am I doing with my life? No answers. And you can't get rid of the question. That causes depression. We can't get rid of the question. We don't know what the answer is. This nags the mind into depression, midlife crisis. So that's because of herd instinct. The second is you make a living if you are intelligent. Intelligent doctor, intelligent lawyer, intelligent scientist, intelligent management professional, intelligent philosopher makes a living, that's all. He can teach philosophy better than others. And what does he do? He makes a better living, that's all. That's not Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga means quest for life. What is the purpose of my life? What am I born for? What is that I need to achieve as a human being? This quest, the intellectual hunger is called as Dhyana Yoga. That intellectual hunger leads you to gain knowledge. Just as physical hunger takes you to eat food, this intellectual hunger leads you to gain knowledge. Without this hunger, we may know a lot, but it is of no use. It's like a librarian who is managing the department of business, entrepreneurship. He knows exactly where the books are. 5,000 books are there. If tomorrow comes, Lee Iacocca, author's book, where is it? He will tell you 18th shelf, 4th rack, 5th book. And what is the, I want to know, where does he quote about doing businesses in a brilliant way? 36th page, 4th paragraph, he knows. But he is working for 5,000 rupees as a librarian. Intelligence is there. There is no intellect to use that knowledge. He doesn't know how to transform his life with it. He can provide information on it. A philosopher, a philosophy professor is a glorified spiritual librarian. That's all, nothing else. Philosopher is not like that. Kabir was not like that. Surdas was not like that. Christ was not like that. Buddha was not like that. Muhammad was not like that. They transformed their life and inspired others. They didn't teach transformation to others. They transformed themselves, which attracted others to live like them. Different. So that is Dhyana Yoga. You change and evolve in your direction. Now the question is, what yoga am I to do with the time I have? It's not a choice. It's not because Dhyana Yoga is available, you should do. You are living above a yoga studio, you should do Hatha Yoga. It's not a choice like that. It depends on your personality constitution. Depending on your personality constitution, you have to practice. But whatever your personality constitution is, you need an intellect to govern your mind. Everyone joins yoga studio. Who's the person who is able to go? The fellow who has an intellect. Everyone resolves new resolution to serve others. Who is the person who is able to do charity? A person who has an intellect. Mind says don't give. Food and drink will invest anything. Knowledge, zero. No. Knowledge we should not invest. This is how narrow the mind is. What evolution we are talking about. So when you do karma, bhakti and jnana according to your proportion, to your constitution, you have to do the 3 yogas. You reach a state called uparati. Uparati means withdrawal. This is how evolution happens. Uparati means your mind is withdrawn from preoccupations of world. Your mind is not pushed into the world with desires. Your mind is available to you. When your mind is available with you, you are able to do what is called as dharana. Dharana means concentration. Sit means the mind sits. All our physical body sat. None of us can claim mind sat. Mind is going everywhere. With such a mind, how can you meditate for hours together, days together without hunger and thirst? Not possible. So, uparati means withdrawal. Next is dharana, means concentration, the ability to fix your mind. When you have mastered dharana, then you are ready for dhyana, meditation. Last few desires disappear in meditation. Leaves you with that consciousness which was always there. This is called samadhi. Self-realization. This is what he is going to teach us in the chapter. This is the banks of the river. within which 47 verses are built. So we'll get into the chapter from the coming class.